So 24 hours ago, if anybody would have asked me what animals I own, I would have just said a dog. But we're in the middle of shearing season, and it can be a bit stressful. And when women are stressed, they buy things. So I got a llama. Everybody meet Turk. He's a 3-year-old male llama who was born on Thanksgiving, but it was so dang cold that the tips of his ears froze off. So he's got a lot of character. So I will admit that buying this llama may have been a little rash. Did that stress you out?
100%, yes.
But thankfully, we do have a day off today, so sounds like we're gonna be building him a pen and a shelter.
You're going to be building him a pen and a shelter.
I'm gonna be building him a pen and a shelter, and my wife's gonna be watching from the hammock?
Yes.
Alright, it is a bit crazy to bring home a llama during the most chaotic time of our life, but Turk's a special case. See, the llamas left in this frame are his mom and his 2 sisters. My man's old enough to be a baby daddy, and he doesn't know any better, so it's time for a new home. Turk's not halter broke, but he's super chill and easy to handle. He takes on shearing like a champ. He's obviously super intelligent, and since it's his 3rd year, he's really relaxed into the process. I went ahead and uploaded his full shear here for anyone who's interested. And if you want to tour the fiber mill with us when we drop this stuff off, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the tail floof or a quick angle change so we can see all the colors that were hiding under that mess. A 5-hour drive makes for a super late arrival, but Turk unloads with ease. With a little patience, we're able to guide him into a horse stall for the night, but I don't think we're quite friends yet. Honestly, who can blame him? A new haircut and a new home? It's just too much for one day. We'll work on it, buddy. The new guy is set for the night, but in the morning, we're gonna need a plan. Now, before bringing any animal home, please remember that they rely solely on you for feed, water, protection, and shelter. Feed is available in a variety of forms, but for large livestock, we're usually talking about grain, roughage, and pasture grasses. Since there are so many variables when it comes to nutrition, each farm is going to have to develop their own plan based on their own needs. If your animal comes with an established diet that you would like to change, start off by continuing the feed they're used to. Then, over the next several weeks, mix in the new feed until you eventually transition completely. A quick note, corn is not sufficient feed for llamas. I'm just using it as a visual representation. We're actually going to be moving him to a llama feed that's available on Chewy.com. During conversation with llama owners who have been in the industry for several years, this brand, the Blue Bonnet, came up several times, so when we found out Turk was coming home, we ordered some to meet us back at the ranch. You won't be tasting it today though, because moving home is stressful enough. And it looks like we might have some trust building to do. Now, it's also crucial to figure out how you're going to provide consistent, clean water for your new pal. There's loads of different options, from large troughs, small buckets, hand-filled, or even an automatic option. It may take a couple tries to figure out what's going to work for you and your new animal.
Oh shit.
A lot of camelids like to plan the water to keep cool. If they can't keep a clear bucket, you may have to provide them with a smaller one they can't keep their feet in. My biggest tip for water, keep it clean, not green. The next thing on our list is protection, which we can break down further into health and safety. Before bringing any animal home, make sure there's a veterinarian in your area that is knowledgeable on them. Most veterinarians have very little experience with large animals, and even if they do handle them, aren't guaranteed to have knowledge on exotics. Do your research, develop the relationships, and figure out if they do house calls, because you're probably going to need a trailer. Under health, we also find parasite and pest management. Flies have been bugging Turk, so we stopped by the feed store and picked up some fly spray. It's still day one, so Turk has a hard time accepting our contact, but his personal space requirements are not nearly as important as protecting him from the effects of fly bites, so tough spit, buddy. When it comes to deworming procedures or anti-parasitic protocols, my number one recommendation is to take a fecal sample from your farm to the vet to have it evaluated. There are so many options when it comes to dewormers, but each one works on a specific class of parasites, so you have to know what you're fighting. Misusage and underdosage of anti-parasitic medication is leading to superworms, or parasites that are resistant to the medications that we already have available, which means we won't be able to protect the animals that we're in charge of, so please be a part of the solution and not perpetuate the problem. Now let's take a look at the safety side of things. Of course, you're going to need an exterior fence that the llama can recognize as the property's boundary. I never recommend barbed wire fencing because the llama can typically jump that height, and if they miss it, they get hung on that barbed wire, causing a lot of damage. I've witnessed llamas go under and through large gaps in fencing, so you'll probably want something tighter than even this. Keep this in mind when setting up the catch pen that should already be established before you ever bring your llama home. You'll need this catch pen anytime that you shear or provide veterinary work, so it's super important that it's sturdy. I recommend that the fencing comes at least to the animal's chin, and we've got some in the back that we're going to use. Now this brings us to our last point, shelter. This sketch here just shows the bones of the structure. We really need just two things from it: protection from the hot Texas sun, and it needs to be mobile. We're not quite sure where we're gonna put his permanent pen yet, so we need to be able to move this thing. To do that, I grabbed some eye screws that I definitely know won't get pulled out. I'll be using a toe strap, so I'll need a quick link that'll fit it. And while we're here, I might as well pick up the latch and the link for our gate chain. Now, since this is just a temporary solution, we pick up some shade cloth and plenty of clips to go with it. Don't be stingy because loose shade cloth can be really dangerous to an animal that eats it. We were able to find quite a bit of lumber in the back of the ranch that we can repurpose, but we still have to pick up a couple boards. When dealing with a hardware store, always pick your lumber, and anything you don't like, put back. Two sides of the shelter will be these boards and shade cloth, while the top will be brand new tin and the back side will be some repurposed plywood we got out of the pavilion. Before we leave, we grab some stuff to apply primer and protect our new wood. At least until we can come back and make everything look pretty. Speaking of pretty, it seems that my wife has mastered that part of the job.
How's the shed building going?
It's everything I thought it was gonna be. Oh, I think we have gotten the hardest part done, which is getting the materials.
That wait at Home Depot took most of the day.
I know, but now we gotta build the damn thing. It's already 2:15 though, and it is 93 degrees outside, so I don't think it's getting any cooler.
No, you got sweat dropping from your hair.
Oh god, no, that's not the only place that sweat is dropping from right now. But we're gonna try to paint all the material first, or at least most of the material that's going to be exposed to the outside. That way it just stays nicer through the weather. And while that's drying, we're going to be picking up the panels and moving them into place.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of panels to move and a lot of wood to paint, so we better go because it's not getting any cooler.
No.
Once we were rocking, we were rolling. We start at the base with the skids and then build up from there. Unfortunately, because of the high heat, our phones both gave out and we didn't get much footage. But with steady progress, we were able to make real life look a lot like that picture. I'm definitely glad we got it in a hearty lunch, because several setbacks and maybe a few distractions.
What you doing, baby?
I think I could build this. Have led to us working in the dark with shearing in the morning. Well, it is 12:58 and we have just finished building Turk's hut. It took a lot more time than we had hoped, but we did get it done, and now the last thing that's left is to hook it up to the truck and pull it over to Turk's new spot. Hopefully it does pull, otherwise we just spent a lot of hours working on something that's about to be in pieces. So wish us some luck, and I'm just glad that we're done. I'm holding my breath while Darian's holding the camera to see if this thing is actually going to pass the test. And it does, guys. It pulls beautifully all the way over to Nana's house, where Turk will be staying until we can figure out a more permanent solution. We moved Turk that night. The next morning, he seems to be very comfortable in his nice shaded pen. He seems to be acclimating well and walks around and checks it out. He's not comfortable with us, but I'm not surprised. I know it's going to take some time to earn his trust, and the best way to do that is with food. We still have a lot to learn about each other, and if you're interested in joining us on this journey, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Then you won't miss when we revamp Turk's, I don't know, hut? What should we call it? Maybe, Turk's Tavern. But instead of beer, I'll give you sheer. Come on. You know it's kinda tempting.